pumping tonight because the new lockdowns are coming. Forget COVID lockdowns. Those are so last year. Get ready for climate lockdowns. But, we'll probably have a mixture of both of them because they want you to stay healthy and get vaccinated, but they also don't want you to leave your house and they want you to give up your cars. So we've been warning you about these for months on this show. These unelected globalists are trying to put in a system in place for climate lockdowns in urban areas. Now, this is why they don't want you moving to the suburbs. It's convenient, isn't it? They really don't want you moving to the suburbs. And they don't want you to have a garden. You have to register your gardens. They don't want you buying those gas-guzzling cars. So they really want you in urban areas. And they want to take away your cars. They've said this publicly. And it's not a conspiracy theory. It's on their freaking website. And it's already happening. So if you've got friends that say, hey, Janice, you're a crazy nut for watching that Redacted and spewing these conspiracy theorists, just why don't you go to the World Economic Forum's website and hand it right to that guy's face and show them, here it is right here. And then why don't you also point out the cities where this is already happening? You could show them that. And then that person might say to you, Janice, okay, maybe you're not as crazy as I thought, but I'm going to go get some lunch now. Stop walking around and showing me websites. So it's not a conspiracy theory. It's written right out and published on their site. And it's already happening. We're going to show you the latest plan for this city planning in just a minute. But first, we got our first taste of these climate lockdowns already. And one that stood out to me particularly was this summer. It didn't get a lot of attention. And it was in France. Now, I don't know how many of you remember this, but I do. And there was a lot of interesting pieces about this. Because it was basically like, hey, these are the things you are allowed to do during a heat wave. And these are the things you're not allowed to do. You are not allowed to go to this place, this place, this place, this place. But you are allowed to go over here because we've somehow designated that you're allowed to go. Here's the BBC story from that summer. Europe heat wave, outdoor events banned in parts of France. And I'll just read through some of the pieces of it. Here's a quote. Concerts and large public gatherings have been called off in and around the Gridiron department in Bordeaux. On Thursday, parts of France hit 40 degrees Celsius earlier in the year than ever before, with temperatures expected to peak on Saturday. Scientists say periods of intense heat are becoming more frequent and longer lasting as a result of global warming. So as an example of the media lies, the article claims, quote, temperatures could hit 39 degrees Celsius in Paris, and droughts have also raised the risk of wildfires, forecasters said. And a woman, I love that they quote this woman here, Jacqueline Banaud. I'm 86 years old. I was born here, but I think this is the worst heat wave I've ever seen, she says Jacqueline. Wow, that's some journalism. They found an 86-year-old woman and asked her, have you ever seen anything like this before? That's some great journalism right there. 86-year-old Jacqueline says that this is the worst heat wave I've ever seen. So an old lady's opinion is included in this news piece. Well, Jacqueline, I know you're older and God bless you. Do you remember 19 years ago in 2003 in France? Were you living there then? Because it was way worse 19 years ago. The heat wave in 2003, in fact, was actually hotter than this summer's heat wave. Back in 2003, heat wave that killed 11,000 people in France. It rose to 40 degrees Celsius, 104 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah, these things happen all sporadically. You're going to have a heat wave here, you're going to have a heat wave there. But there's a thing that we have now, thanks to fossil fuels. It's called air conditioning. And we're able to mitigate heat wave disasters. Now, most people don't die from heat, they die from cold. More people die from cold than ever do from heat. When it gets a little cold, you might think, well, it's pretty easy. I can flip on some heaters. There's a lot of people for whom don't have access to heat because we've taken it away from them. We've told them in third world countries now that, hey, you guys can't use coal. You guys can't use the very things that we used to industrialize. So we had our 100 years in Britain and the United States where it was fine for us to use coal to keep the lights on and to stay warm, but you're not allowed to. You have to skip right from using dung. You have to skip from that right to solar panels. Nothing in between. That's where we're at right now. That's what these globalists are doing to a lot of the people throughout Africa. So now this morning we got word that England is setting up new lockdown policies, new lockdown plans for climate change. And it's going to break cities in designated, it's going to basically break cities up into designated lockdown zones. Are you in one of these zones? You might be. The goal is to take away your car and force you to stay put. And if this sounds familiar, it's because it's right out of the World Economic Forum's playbook. It's called a 15-minute city. Here's the BBC to explain it.
The 15-minute city is a really simple concept in many ways. It's really just saying that every urban citizen should be able to meet their basic needs within a 15-minute walk or cycle ride from their house.
The concept of the 15-minute city was proposed by French Colombian scientist Carlos Moreno, and aspects of it are starting to be adopted in cities like Paris, Barcelona, and Bogota.
So it's already rolling out. And now here's the World Economic Forum in their own words on their website. This is the surprising stickiness of the 15-minute city. It says, in the World Economic Forum's own words, the rearrangement of cities is absolutely about climate change, reads the website. As climate change and global conflict cause shocks and even stresses at faster intervals and increasing severity, the 15-minute city will become even more critical. And the solution was the pandemic. They really say this right here on the website. The solution was the pandemic. The obvious yet incomplete answer is the pandemic with COVID-19 and its variants keeping home everyone or close to home than usual. The 15-minute city went from a nice to have to a rallying cry. So let me pull this up here on the screen. It looks like we might have some trouble with the video here, but let me show you on my side here. So the surprising stickiness of the 15-minute city. This is the World Economic Forum, and this is just published this year. So as we scroll through here, you can see, and look, here's the solution, right? Use your bikes, says the World Economic Forum. So here, look at this. The urbanism trend comes to 15-minute city framing of a walkable mixed-use urban development is a lot more than a fad. The historical roots of the 15-minute city are connected deeply with the current moment, one we will be living with for a long time. As climate change and global conflict cause shocks and stresses, faster intervals, and increasing severity, the 15-minute city will become even more critical. So right there, as climate change and global conflict cause shocks and stresses, faster intervals and increasing severity, the 15-minute city will become even more critical. And then they even show you, which implies all the necessary amenities within a short bike ride, short walk, or public transportation. We've already rolled this out in Paris, Seoul, and Bogota. And here's the big picture. See, they don't want you to live in suburban areas. They want you in urban areas. All of this is built around urban planning. So they want you in these environments that they can control. They can control the food flow and all of it right to your front door. So that's how this unfolds. And this arrangement is now being rolled out in England. So we just found out this is unbelievable. So it was already being voted upon, and it passed. So now in England, this is happening. In Oxfordshire, the council is to trial a climate lockdown starting in 2024. Oh, it's just going to be a trial? You know it's not. So here it was 18 hours ago. Oxfordshire County Council yesterday approved plans to lock residents into one of 6 zones to save the planet, they say, from global warming. The latest stage in the 15-minute city agenda is to place electronic gates on key roads in and out of the city, confining residents to their own neighborhoods in Oxfordshire.
Would those be solar-powered electric locks?
Probably. God knows. I mean, because we've now vilified hydrocarbons and fossil fuels. Like you can't, I just did a whole video this weekend on this whole BS argument. Where you only have 3% right now of our energy being produced by solar and wind, and all of it is backed up by natural gas. So when it's not sunny and it's not windy, what kicks on? We need all of these fossil fuels. And if you eliminate fossil fuels and hydrocarbons, petroleum specifically, you then cannot have anything that you like. Forget your computers, forget your screens, forget about 6,000 different things in our houses right now. Look around your room. Almost every item in your living room comes from some form of fossil fuel, from some sort of petroleum production. Eliminate it.
Well, and your food too, because it's got to be delivered via truck. So
Right.
And everything in there's nothing in my house that I can look at and think that is not here because of fossil fuel.
But it's a doom. It's like they're telling us it's coming. So we need to have the city lockdown. We need to have these climate lockdowns. They don't want you to have cars. So under the new scheme, listen to this. This is amazing. If residents want to leave their zone in Oxfordshire, they will need permission from the city council, who gets to decide who is worthy of freedom and who isn't. Like, look at Oxfordshire. Like, well, I just want to take a drive. I want to take a drive in the countryside, and I want to go visit grandma who lives, 60 kilometers away. Screw you. Literally. You are not allowed
to be a letter written in calligraphy, or like what? Like, is this letter? Is it a phone call? Like, can you send them an email? Like,
I don't know. I mean, under the new scheme,
what is the process? Like,
you have to basically go to the city council and get approval to leave the zone. You're only allowed to leave a certain number of days per year.
That's like, Mom, can I go outside? No, it's too hot outside. Oh man, play in your room. I
mean, like the heat wave thing. Like, aren't we adults enough to know? Like, if it's so freaking hot, I'm not going to go see. You know what? I'm not going to go to the Yanni concert if it's so freaking hot. You know what I mean? Like,
and if Yanni's playing in a building where there's AC, I should be able to get in my car with AC, drive to the building with AC, and have a perfectly fine evening without permission.
Exactly, because of fossil fuels, because of air conditioning, right? If there's a summer outdoor concert series and and Mel Torme is playing, I can say, you know what, I'm skipping this one. I'm skipping from seeing the Velvet Fog because it's just too damn hot out. I'm an adult. I can make that decision.
And chances are they cancel the concert anyway. So you'd be like, you didn't need their permission because now you're not going to go because it's been canceled because it was the smart thing to do.
Yeah. You get Tony Bennett out there in 104 degrees, the guy's going to drop over dead. Like, Tony Bennett's going to cancel the concert. Like, we are adults.
Obviously,
we don't need government.
Tony Bennett.
That's true. I've seen
plays in Vegas. Now, come on.
I think he played his last concert recently. But anyway, so yeah, you're not allowed to you have to get approval to travel more than a certain number of designated times per year. Again, we talk about carbon footprint tracking. We talk about tracking everything you do. This is what it is. In order to gain this, every resident will have to register their car details with the city council, who will then track their movements via smart cameras around the city. This is the dream for these guys. Every resident will be required to register their car with the county council, who will then monitor how many times they leave their district. This sounds like Hunger Games, via a number plate recognition system. So they just voted on this, guys. Like, this is already happening. Now, I know it's a
like
small...
the aliens in District 9.
Right. Now, I know this sounds small, like this is one city. It doesn't matter. It starts this way.
Well, that's what they do. They do these little drops and like, let's test this in this small area where we know that, it's these feeble people. They're not really going to do much. Let's see how it flies. Let's get it organized and then it'll spread. And that's like, people are always like, oh, it's only starting there. I don't need to worry about it. It's not going to come to the big city. But that's when you need to worry, when you see it happening in these smaller areas.
Right. And someone in our Rumble chat, who was it, just said in Rumble, Save Rari says Agenda 21 in 1992. Yeah, mega cities, right? This is the idea. Mega cities, we will control your movements. We will have total control of it, and we will then be able to control your food production. We'll get the cars off the roads. We don't want you driving these cars at all anyway. And you will all own a bike, and you'll walk to wherever you need to walk. So this is madness. James Woodhoyson warned about us of this in Spiked in October. In late October, James writes, "The madness of the 15-minute city. The green agenda is taking inspiration from the illiberal days of lockdown," he writes. To this end, Oxfordshire Council, which is run by the Labour and Liberal Democrats and the Green Party, wants to divide the city of Oxford into 6 15-minute districts. In these districts, it is said most household essentials will be accessible by a quarter of an hour walk or ride by bike. So residents will have no need for a car. On the surface, these 15-minute neighborhoods might sound pleasant and convenient, but there's a coercive edge. The council plans to cut car use and traffic congestion by placing strict rules on car journeys. Residents will have to register their cars with the city council, and they will be tracked to count their journeys through the key gateways in and out. It's a social credit scheme, James writes, that starts with your car and works like an anti-frequent flyer points. The less you drive, the less you travel, the better and higher your score. They don't want you visiting anything. They don't want you going anywhere. Under the new proposals, if any of Oxford's 150,000 residents drive outside of their designated district more than 100 days a year, he or she could be fined £70 each time that happens. It's fucking crazy, guys.
They should cordon off the grocery stores too, based on your social credit score, so that like, no, you've got a social credit score of 200 or less. This is the only aisle you can shop from. You're getting canned SpaghettiOs.
I know, and I know it sounds crazy.
If you want fresh meat,
yeah. No, you're right. Yeah. You're only allowed a certain number of meat credits. Guys, this is where this is going. This is not conspiratorial shit. This is, they've written it out. They're executing on it. They've already run pilot programs that they're running in Paris, Bogota, Houston. Like, this is happening. And it's they paint it as like a dream. You don't need to go anywhere. You can just walk everywhere. And look, I like the idea of like urban, like walking in a city, but I also don't want to stay there forever. I'd like to go visit my mom who lives, a couple hours away. I want to go visit friends. I want to go upstate and visit. I want to maybe commute from work. I want to live in the city and commute outside of the city. What about the people that want to commute for work? Have that choice, have that liberty. No, sorry. Under this plan, you won't. And what about people who can't walk 15 minutes to the grocery store, who they just don't have the capacity?
I think you guys are, all a bunch of wimps. The Amish do it. The Amish live this way, they don't go further than unless they hire somebody to drive them to Pennsylvania to see their family. They stay within, how far a horse can travel. So
they want you to be Amish.
This is such a big deal.
They want us to be Amish. That would be actually no, they don't, because they don't want us to farm.
No, actually, yeah, they don't. Yeah, they don't want you to farm,
and
collect rainwater, stuff like that. Like,
yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, because they want to vaccinate
I think I'm gonna become Amish. I just got to cut this off, and I'm Amish.
And get a horse and buggy. Thank you so much for watching this segment here at Redacted. We are live every day at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, trying to share the stories that the mainstream media will not cover. You should also come over and join our community of Redacted Rebels over at redacted.inc. That's our private locals community where we can share exclusive content that we simply cannot share here on YouTube. Come over and join the rebellion together right now by going to redacted.inc. We'll see you next time.